long evening, so let's get started. Say the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, got everybody here but John tonight, so that was good. Yeah. Looking through the regular agenda here, we've got two additions. Sorry, we didn't put you guys on there right away, so we'll get you on there. And then we gotta talk about John Corselman a little bit. So we'll do that at 6A and 6B. Anybody got any other additions or changes? Not hearing any.
Motion to approve with no changes.
Okay, Brian makes a motion. Give me a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Did you guys have a chance to go through that?
Yes, I did. Don't have any issues.
Any questions from anybody?
No.
Okay, otherwise, entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as is. Okay, Chelsea does a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Dave got it. Yep. Okay, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Council minutes. Did I get a chance to go through those? Is there any questions?
Hold up here real quick.
I don't think there was
I
anything
didn't
missing.
find anything.
At least I didn't see anything missing.
Okay, I got it wrong document.
Yeah.
Is it in the agenda packet?
No, I had to send it here. You should have an email.
Yeah, came in an email.
Oh, it came in email?
Yeah,
Oh,
I just emailed
yeah.
it to everybody.
Oh, okay. All right. It's gonna take a while to pull it
Matt
up.
spelled my name wrong.
Oh, did I? Spell check. Missed it.
Spell check would have made it wrong.
Where is that? I can fix it.
And just on the
First page.
first sentence.
Oh.
That's EY.
I'll answer that.
Okay, any other corrections? We'll get that corrected.
It's important.
Yep. Anything else? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion with the correction.
So moved.
Okay, Dave, Brian, all in favor say aye.
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 All right, motion passed. All right, next up on here, public comment. Does anybody got anything they want to say tonight? Feel free to grab the microphone. Okay.
Yeah, my name is Fred Bernhardtson, and I live on 64th Avenue. And talking about they're going to redo the diversion road, the minimum maintenance. And my concern is they want to route it back down 64th. I'd rather have them keep going straight north. And with that, I'd also like stop signs placed on 64th on the east side and west side of the diversion road. And along with, we haven't had a speed limit sign on our road from the diversion heading into over to 17, and I'd like to get a speed limit sign back up there. And
Was there one at one point? Or
there
never?
was at one point, but it disappeared, and then this winter a snowmobiler hit the post, so the post isn't there anymore either. So,
Okay.
but
The speed limit section, if it was already there, it'd be pretty straightforward for us to do, right? Because that road.
Where's that? The 64th is that? That's
our
county?
road?
64th is ours. There is a portion, I believe it's going south on 64th, that is city. Jim, is that correct? 64th going south on the diversion road for a little section. 81st for a little section is city.
South to 64th.
Yeah.
I think it's township.
Is that township? We'd have to verify.
Yeah, I have to verify what the jurisdiction is there.
Yeah.
But where he's talking north of 64th is township or West Fargo. I know you told me on
Yeah,
the phone that it's either,
I've
it's either
tried to-
Stanley or Warren or West Fargo. Nobody wants to
Yeah,
claim it.
nobody wants,
Yeah.
it hasn't been bladed in the last 3
No
years.
Man's Road is what it
Last
is?
3 years, and
Okay.
it's still a good road, but it has a couple of potholes in it, so it wouldn't take much. And it's a lot wider road than what 64th would be. So,
And that'll go all the way up to 52nd?
and that'll go to 52nd, and then they can go. So, and we do get a lot of traffic by our place anyway, so with the stop signs, that would slow that traffic down going out to the shooting park. So that's another reason why,
So you want the stop signs, right, going
on 64th.
east-west, right, not for the
Correct, for the stop, to stop the people going,
North, south.
no, east-west.
East-west.
going east-west.
Well, that's a county.
No, 64th is
64th,
not,
I'm thinking 76th, right.
so,
Okay, 64th, yeah, you're right.
We'd have to verify the jurisdictions. I believe we can cover that.
Right.
If the council would want to do it. One thing that, we may want to look into in the future is tying some sort of ordinance, identifying who or how additional traffic signage is placed. I know where it was before, we had an ordinance that actually identified specific positions, and then council would have to authorize that. And we're looking into it a little bit, and we couldn't find anything saying that.
Because right now, that's under township road,
But it's
right?
64th is the city road
Correct.
going out to 81st.
Oh.
And there's a point, I believe it's going south. There's a little or there's a section of it that city has, and another section that Warren Township has. I just am unclear exactly on where ours stops and theirs starts.
that's,
But
that's going
the
north.
intersection is a combination between us, probably Warren Township. Those are the two entities. As it goes north, it's minimum maintenance. I believe that
No,
is
the other way
township
around.
portion.
The other way around, it's
Okay.
going
Oh, yeah, it's
south, going south
yeah.
is minimum maintenance,
Yeah.
going north is.
Yeah, so we'd have
So-
to just verify that.
And another thing, if we do get a lot of traffic, we'd like to talk to someone about getting some dust control out there.
Right.
If we do get,
As
So
part of
that's-
the 76 project, it was to build up the roads, the whole detour route, to build that up, apply dust control, and then at a certain point, about halfway or something through the project, another application of dust control.
We
will
have
be
two
applied.
applications if you need
Yep.
dust control, plus a base stabilizer to hold the road together throughout the construction, so it's included already.
The approach was to build up the road instead of trying to repair it constantly, so
Yes.
build it up front.
Yep.
That was the approach that we were taking.
yeah, that's on 81st.
It would be
Or the minimum.
81st,
The
64th.
entire
Okay.
route. so-
Yeah, the entire route will be involved in that.
Where there's gravel.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, anybody else? Okay, otherwise we'll move along here. Lindsay, are you gonna give the presentation this evening? Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure if you guys had flipped the coin, so.
You've got more stories than I do.
Pulling rank, right? Yeah.
This month, we had 115 calls. Calls were up a little bit, but nothing, it's still a pretty slow month. 34 of the calls were traffic complaints. 12 of them were us attempting warrants or civil papers. There were 4 calls for suspicious activity, none of which ended up being anything. And then there was some flooding around Wall Avenue and Memory Lane late this month, and that was taken care of very, very quickly, what I heard, so.
Yep.
Other than that, it was a good month, so.
Okay, so good trends, and we're just,
Yeah,
well, boring would be a good way to put it, maybe?
Yeah,
Good.
The 2 crashes were essentially no injury
no,
type crashes. Were they in town or were they,
I would have to look. Ross actually did
okay,
this. The alcohol related was impaired people fighting,
oh,
so it was.
not a
like
driving
No.
offense? Okay.
So, and then, once the shooting park opens up, we can give a little extra patrol on 64th as well, because I know traffic gets wild out there, so. And same as on 76th, people like
Yep.
to fly out to shoot their guns, so.
They're in a hurry, you know?
Yeah. So,
Okay,
All right, good.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'll just, next one I got on here is I'm gonna give a update on John. As you guys, everybody knows, he hasn't been sitting here for a while, and part of this was John was involved in a plane accident up at the airport back in the end of November, and he suffered a concussion. Initially, he wasn't really sure how bad, but it has affected things. So he's going to spend some time rehabbing, getting him back online. We're gonna have a talk in another 60 days and see how he's doing, but we wish him well in his recovery here, and we hope he can get back in the seat again. So get well soon, John. We want you back in here. So we'll move along to number 7 here. Okay, so there's been other entities around that have been doing the emergency for flooding. Kind of looked at this, kind of wanted to wait and see where we were at as far as issues with the river and stuff. And looks like we might have to deal with some ice jams, and because of that, started looking at it a little bit more. It might start costing some money to handle these things. And one of the deals here with the resolution declaring an emergency with the spring flood, that would make us eligible for some FEMA money if we get involved possibly with this. So more of a preemptive strike, if nothing happens, this is no big deal, but I decided that we should probably do this, and being this is a duration beyond 7 days, I'm gonna have to get authorization from you guys to go along with this.
Beyond, because it's longer.
Because the
than 7
event will
days.
go longer than 7 days.
Because it's basically for a 30-day period, or
It's
it's
until
indefinite
indefinite,
until it's raised?
until we close it.
Yeah, so under the Century Code, the mayor declares the emergency. And if it's less than 7 days, that's it, done deal. But if it exceeds 7 days, which with this flood it's going to, then the city council or the governing body has to consent to his declaration, his
But
emergency
then for
order.
There's
no set time on it.
But I mean, in terms of it expiring, do we need to then vote to expire the declaration? No? Okay. So the mayor can declare that it's over at any time after that, okay?
It does state saying 2019 spring flood, so as we get through it,
Yep.
it'll fizzle out anyways.
So, I need a motion.
Yep, a motion and a second to approve the resolution declaring
Yep.
emergency.
So moved.
Okay, so Dave does the motion. Can you get a second?
Second.
Chelsea does a second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. So, yeah, let's get that published out there then, Lucas, and we'll get going on this, just so we're, hopefully it's a nothing burger. That's what we want, but I mean, we're covered this way.
And so that's a good point. It's you have to file this with City Hall, and then it has to be published, or made public. So if you put it on your website or
Yeah.
So you have the emergency declaration.
We could do a press release tomorrow.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I mean, we'll do a
Yeah.
press release,
We'll do a
and
press
then,
release.
so that press release will then go on the website and everything,
Yep.
et cetera. Okay.
Okay, so the next one on our list here is employment termination. Last week, I let Vance go in the services of the city, so he is no longer the auditor. He signed a termination letter with the city that is on for public display if anybody wants to see it. Again, this is some issues with our audit that the state got a letter to us about, and we had to make some decisions. It wasn't easy, but that's what happened with that, along with the billing issues that we had too. I mean, we have to get back on course here. So that's. Unless you guys got any questions, that's pretty much what happened last week. So, okay, we'll move along to 9 here then. Brent, you want to take that one?
I'll introduce it briefly, but hand it off to Lucas since he's the author of this for Horace, West Fargo, Cass County, Southeast Gas. I think is involved too. Basically, this mutual aid agreement outlines who is responsible for what in regards to any emergency actions that need to be taken for the flood along the Cheyenne River Cheyenne diversion. West Fargo is taking on taking on the lead role for diversion, monitoring, repair. So when the flood goes up, they'll be out there 24/7 checking that out, keeping an eye on it. But if we have emergency repairs that need to be done on the levee, this would allow us to have West Fargo's staff come in or their contractors come in and make those repairs, such as like the river banks. And the biggest concern right now is if we get ice jams along the river, that could take out some of the river banks there, and that could cause some flooding issues. That's the risk the biggest risk that we have in Horace. Even with the diversion, we're protected quite a bit, but we still have risks because of those ice jams. The flow, folks will be alarmed by the river, especially if they haven't lived by it before.
Yep.
With a flood, the river will go up. It'll go up quickly, and it kind of plateaus for a while. But those ice jams are what are going to be the problem for us.
Yeah, because the ice is thicker this year.
The ice is very thick this year compared to previous years. So that's what this mutual aid agreement does, my understanding of it, and Lucas could expand on it.
Yeah, so Brent did a great job explaining, where this started. And it started with Public Works Department in West Fargo requesting that our office draft an agreement between those entities just to ensure, that everybody's on the same page if anything was to arise. So instead of, if something did happen, instead of there being just a frantic, who's responsible for this, we need help, let's get it out there. This actually outlines the process of, here's what happens if there is an emergency situation. You contact this person and they're authorized to spend so much money. So part of this agreement then requests the city council to designate city officials to be authorized representatives, which means these people can act on behalf of the city in the event there is an emergency rather than trying to get a special meeting together to get the city council to make a decision. There's authorized representatives. So if the city council doesn't choose anyone as an authorized representative, then the public works director, engineer, and administrator of those entities will automatically be authorized representatives. So those individuals can act on behalf of the city. So if you're fine with that, you don't have to take any action. If you'd like to designate someone else as an authorized representative in addition to those individuals, let me know.
I think that's
include that.
I think it's laid out as exactly how
covers
it should play out.
Yeah.
Those entities should be involved. Those guys should be involved.
So, council, fine with that. The next one that you do have to make a determination on is in section 12, where it's the allocation of funds. I just figured this is something that should be included in the agreement, where it outlines how much the city council is comfortable with spending or having the authorized representative spend per occurrence, and then in total. And I don't have an estimate to give you because I am not sure how much, and if you want to leave it blank, that's fine, but I just feel like there should be something in there that says.
So based on the emergency we just did, the potential for something like this, that we could potentially get reimbursement for those costs, is that true? From somebody like FEMA? Is that
Yeah, it has to be well documented. And
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly, okay.
And we would really have to decide, weigh the pros and cons, if it's an amount that it's worth doing. Because it is like Lucas said, the documentation is tedious. Also submitting that paperwork is significant. So we have to weigh the pros and cons. If we have a couple $1,000s, it's probably not worth it. If we get 20, 30,000 or more, then yeah, it's something probably worth it. So to pursue that reimbursement.
Brent, would you recommend us having some value in the single occurrence versus in the aggregate, or what's your recommendation?
Is there some precedent that what West Fargo's using the numbers that they've used?
I am unaware of any precedent.
Sarah's covering West Fargo tonight, and they're going to be going over the same stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what numbers they.
I would hate to throw a number at you and be totally off.
Well, that's what I mean. Is it 10,000? Is it 100,000? Is it $1 million? I mean,
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
I don't even have an idea of this scale of what it should be.
And neither did I. That's why I left it up to you guys.
I mean, I would assume, Jim, are you familiar with any of this dirt work? I was going to say, just knowing general excavation, if it was something that, let's say like 10,000 or something, you're probably not going to be dealing with that too much
Because
unless.
all we're saying is that if it exceeds that certain amount for a single event, then we just need additional approval for those funds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's $10,000 for a
By the
single
time we're
occurrence,
dealing with a bill or anything like that, we're gonna be,
and in the aggregate, if it goes over $100,000, you know, if there's 10 events that we end up having to deal with, you know,
I would probably default to our spending authority. We have a resolution that identifies between the mayor and I, we could go $10,000 without going to council. But then we come back and report to council at the next meeting if we have a situation like that, an agreement wise. That would be my default.
well, and you're authorized to spend up to that amount anyway.
Well,
right?
mine,
So that's
I
what you-
believe is at 6, and then it's in consultation with the mayor, it could be at 10. So that's why if I was to give you a number right now, I would say 10.
For a single occurrence.
Yeah,
Per single occurrence, and we probably put it, if you wanna put a number.
yeah.
Is it 50?
Lucas, what do you got?
Two things. One, I texted Sarah to ask her if West Fargo set a number. Two, it does say if they go over, then they just have to get consent from the city council. So, if you need to
We
have
just
a
call a
special
special
meeting,
meeting.
Right.
call a
So
special
it's
meeting.
not a huge deal. I mean,
Correct.
It's just
Yeah.
here are the triggers. So, I mean, it makes sense for using something like $10,000 for a single occurrence.
I think you're gonna be fine.
And, yeah, I'd be shocked if anything goes over that.
Then what do you guys wanna do for the aggregate? How do you wanna go with that number? Yes, hey Russ, sorry.
I just remember the last flood, at every bridge location, there was a backhoe parked.
Right.
And stationed there
24/7
Yep.
for a while.
24/7. You may have lease costs on those or whatever, but
Yep.
Well, yeah, I was wondering that too, if those
That's part
costs
of it.
come to us, or if that's just part of the shared flood fight that the county provides, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming what this is if we end up spending over $10,000, then we're authorizing you to spend up to $10,000. If anything more than that, then they have to get governing body. Now, does that apply for Cass County as well? If Cass County goes over that amount that they get, do we need to get their approval from that? That's,
I think this is just what we're willing to spend. So
Yeah.
the county
Cass
may
County
say
has
they're
their own.
50 grand or 60
Right.
grand out of the gate for events and
If
whatever.
we look like we're out of line compared to what everybody else is that has done this, we'd come back and report that to the council. If we need to amend how much the council is willing to do, I would assume that we'd be able to amend that agreement.
can we
without
get back
an
to
issue.
this later in the meeting? If
Yeah.
we get some,
We
answer
could
from
table
Sarah?
it for.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
so let's, is there any other discussion you guys wanna do on this while it's still fresh, otherwise let's just table this and come back.
Yeah, maybe we just table it.
Well, so if you want to just look at the maps that are attached, that might be important to look at because that shows who's responsible for what. So like that first one, river levy responsibility. So Horace is responsible for everything in yellow. So that's all on the Cheyenne River. So that's something to think about.
See, and that's where your, just like Russ said, that's where your expense is gonna be, is if we have to have backhoes parked on 3 bridges.
And I believe Cass County will be helping out. I know they're helping out with a portion of the further to the north. You can see where it's yellow and blue.
Yeah, but if, for example, we need a backhoe at 64th and 76th, or for example, the county roads, then does Cass County provide that, or do we have to provide that? Or do we have to go rent the equipment? That's what I don't know.
So I think, I mean, in my eyes, it's Horace would be responsible for it, and if you needed to request assistance, that's where you use this agreement. You say, "Hey, Cass County, do you have any backhoes available? If so,
Basically,
you
it's,
provide it."
it's assets,
Yeah.
who's got the assets local that can move them.
Yeah. It allows us to utilize their contractors list.
So, I mean, we just have to, when you look at the map here, we've got 64th, we got 76th, we got 88th. Those are the 3 that we're gonna have to watch, keep an eye on.
So,
Well, West Fargo would watch them, and they would move, with this
So-
agreement, they would be the ones that would.
yeah, so some of these
mobilize
Cass
equipment.
and West Fargo are monitoring these two on 76th. West Fargo is monitoring this, so Horace actually has 2 monitoring on 64th and in Wall. And on Wall. Those are really the only two monitoring stations that we would have.
Okay. Anybody, anything else I want to talk about? Otherwise, I think.
So if you look at that, the next one,
Oh,
look at that one. So then it says Cass County is responsible for the
Cass
bridge and
County's
structure
covering
ice
all
clearance.
these.
Oh, so yeah, they're in charge of the ice clearance.
Yeah.
So,
So that first one, responsible for the river levees.
Right.
no, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the
That
ice
makes sense.
other one is
And
okay.
So we were worried about the bridge closure, so
But that'll be-
structures.
that'll be
Cass County's
Cass
covering that we're okay.
the area that we are watching the most is going to be 76. Apparently, is what we're hearing. That's probably the area of most concern with the county and more engineering about these guys. They're all concerned the most about the bridge at 76 because that's historically where problems have occurred. So,
The one, the box culvert over the river, right? Not
Yeah.
the diversion.
no, not diversion. The Cheyenne River.
Okay.
Box culverts there. Yeah. They don't let the ice chunks go through as nicely when the river floods, so.
Yep.
Will you please go to the next exhibit, D? So this is a temporary right of entry permit. This is something that needs to be executed with property owners if the city or like West Fargo or Cass County are gonna access private property. This, one-page form should be signed by the property owners saying that you allow the city to enter your property and the city is gonna have contractors coming on your property and there's a good potential that your property is going to be damaged. The city's not responsible for that because they are providing you flood protection services.
Especially in the case of where the homeowner or property owner changed their levy.
Yeah,
And that-
which they're not supposed to.
Which you're not supposed to,
Yeah.
but if they did.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the last exhibit is just a contact sheet of everyone who's kind of the author, or who I think will be the authorized representatives in the respective cities or respective entities.
Okay, so do you want to just,
Let's table this until we can get any information, but we'll make sure we review it. We'll come back to this.
yeah, we'll come back to that one tonight then. Okay, Matt, you got Cub Creek.
Alrighty, we got a couple of plats in front of you. Busy plan commission last week. The first one is the Cub Creek preliminary plat and rezone. In the packet, you have the preliminary plat, and we have big sheet hard copies if you want to see that as well. Cub Creek is 154 home sites. It's arranged in a traditional block pattern. There's space along 76 on the north end of the plat that will be reserved for something else, probably mixed use of some sort. There's 3 large ponds, which was part of a discussion at an earlier council meeting. And on the south end of the plat, at least the south end of the built part of the plat to start, there's a public or park space. The specifics are subject to design meeting with the developer, the city, and the park board. There's a rezone as part of this. Rezones the land is ag right now. It rezones a chunk of that to residential 6 and portions of that to public facilities. The developer has worked with the city. There's been no issues in making sure that the plat is compliant with city code. The developer has made some adjustments to help better address concerns of the citizens in the housing market. And we're particularly encouraged by willingness to work with the park board on programming park space more so as this phase 1 rolls into phase 2, 3, and 4. So also in your recommendations, one of the things that as we transitioned into me taking on the entitlement process and we'll have comprehensive plan alignment statements in here to show that there are city policies that support this plat. Or if there's a recommendation to deny the plat, there'll be policies to show why staff is choosing to recommend a denial. But that is not the case here. The recommendation from staff is to approve the rezone request for Cub Creek First Edition preliminary plat, as well as approve the Cub Creek First Edition preliminary plat with 4 conditions that were placed on it during planning commission. And those conditions would be approval from Southeast Cass Rural Water District, submission of a title opinion, submission of a drainage plan, prior to Planning Commission's hearing of a final plat, and submission of a special improvement district plan prior to Planning Commission's hearing of a final plat. So I'll turn it back to the mayor for questions. The developer is here as well. So.
Okay.
One question related to the Casserole Water, was the request made for Casserole Water to provide fire hydrant pressures and so forth for this area?
Southeast Cass, Water Resource District, not Casserole.
Oh, I have Southeast Cass Rural Water District. Is that the right
Water
word?
Resource
Oh,
District.
yeah, resource, sorry. Okay.
Just because it's adjacent to Drain 27.
Right?
Oh, and the fire department does have this plat. I have not heard from them.
Okay, so it's still in review by the fire department at this point?
That would be accurate.
Okay.
Can we double check that based on Casserole Water putting up this water tower for the school, this development would also gain then that, Jim, when we require certain types of sizing pipes, that kind of stuff to try and provide water?
They already have established what they want for pipe system. They're adequate for fire protection. And the plan is to have, with that tower being there, to provide fire protection for those new subdivisions
Okay.
that are serviced by this tower.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lucas?
Do you want to start with the rezone and then open the public hearing for the rezone?
Okay, yeah, which one you want to do, the rezone first?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's open the public hearing for the rezone on the first read. Anybody got anything they want to talk about on that one, or? Any going once, going twice? Okay, then I will close the public hearing on the rezone. Do you guys have anything any questions on it?
Not on the rezone.
No. No, me either.
Motion to approve the rezone?
Okay, Chelsea has a motion to approve the rezone on first read. Anybody got a second?
Second.
Okay. David's second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, rezone motion carries. Preliminary plat. Let's open that up for a public hearing on that one. If anybody's got any comments or questions on that. It's pretty much gone over most of this. Russ, you got anything in there you want to toss in on it?
Well, while the residential is R6, you will find that there's a mixture of lot sizes.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to be approving R6 with all small lots anymore. They have to have mixed sizes throughout.
Okay.
And this one complies with that.
Mm-hmm.
Are these the smaller lots of the whole development then?
We have a mix, as Russ was saying, so we start probably small, medium, and large, probably about third, give or take.
For the whole picture?
As market stuff changes, we only kind of set a road layout and haven't really thought too far ahead of what more lot sizes would be. On the east side, those are set up to be larger lots on the east side of the drain. That was kind of and then kind of moving south. So I think it's a mixture of kind of both, still ramping some up smaller, and then as we get closer to some of the busier roads or any other stuff, then we'll kind of offer that again just before we get to the mixed or multi-family stuff.
So I guess the only question I have as I'm looking at this is the route that goes along the backside of those longer
west
lots.
side? On the west side?
Yeah, on the west, no, on the east side of the picture there.
Right.
That's drain 27, right?
That's
Drain 27.
Okay. So I see the dotted line. Is that like an easement then for how much drain 27 can go up accordingly into it and that kind of thing? Or how is that going to work?
Actually, not even. We won't have much of anything of a balance in the drain because their woods are so far up the hill that they're not even going to plan on improve it. But to meet the complying with their approval, they wanted an access easement on each side that if they ever need to drive, a tractor down there for some reason. Yeah, so that dotted line will be a no-build easement that we're going to treat to comply with the Horace it's kind of a double benefit really for it. And so the property owner will own still to the edge of the drain, but they get the benefit of just having a really big
Backyard.
Won't have any permanent structures.
Okay. So the 12,650 is all the way down the amount they own.
To the edge of the drain lot.
You don't see any issue of that dotted line for the size houses or anything like that that you want to put in there. They'll still have all the yard space, right?
Right, so they'll have all the yard space. We basically ignored everything from the dotted line back and we said, if this were the back of the lot, how would that comply and fit, the depth of any basically house
Okay.
that fit on there, so, and meet that coverage. So really what they'll do is they'll have the benefit of having all that space and really only coverage, less than a small fraction of lot coverage.
Yeah.
But the intent is that the homeowner, the landowner would be responsible for maintaining that.
Oh, they will absolutely still own it with title, so yeah,
Right.
keeping it that way, there's no issue.
But there's an easement associated, so they just know that they can't put anything back there.
Right, so it'd be really, in terms of comparison, it'd be like a really larger utility easement that everyone already has on the plat, instead of it being 10 feet, it's 150 feet.
Sure.
So all those same privileges and responsibilities will apply here. We won't allow, like I said, there'll be the no build line, much like we do on the river, so no permanent structures. And then if they were gonna do any landscaping or anything, under the covenants, they'll just know that, much like the access easement you guys discussed earlier, if there ever was an event where someone had to go in there, they may tear up some shrubs or grass or sprinkler heads or anything else, but they still have that ability to go in and do that. So that was really the biggest, most important to the drainage board was to make sure that they could still have access and have that ability to get in there.
Okay.
Can they put trees or?
Yeah, they can
landscape?
improve it in landscaping, but just know that.
No playgrounds or fences?
What we, for example, what happened in Shadow Creek, we were able to put all that so fences, but just they signed a waiver that if a fence ever needed to come out for maintenance or anything else, it's their responsibility to have it at least.
Lucas, you had a question?
Just a comment that this is also, that 150-foot setback is consistent with what's happening in Vistos too. So in Vistos 3rd edition, same thing. You have that 150 feet. Southeast Cass is 175 feet from the center line. The City of Horace ordinance is 150 feet from the upper edge. So Southeast Cass was fine with going with the city's ordinance for this one. And so what they just wanted from the City of Horace, which will come up in Vistos, is they actually want a permanent easement agreement. And then they plan on recording that and then having that evidence on the final plats. So that when it gets recorded, that easement will show, that 150-foot strip will show that it's that there's an easement on that property with Southeast Cass.
Are they planning a sidewalk on that drain? I think they have one, in Fargo, there's that drain that runs through on 45th, and they have a sidewalk.
Part of that was approved as part of the amenities plan, and we've not worked through that. A lot of that will kind of be driven by what the park board and the rest of that wants. Right now, we're not planning that trail on that side of it, so we're planning on more of that trail and sidewalk by path, the utility path to be on the front of the house, right on the back, just for some of the same things as we need to work through the details for ongoing maintenance or anything else of that, and how that affected drainage if we put that sidewalk in there.
Any other questions?
Any other things?
The first step.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, then we can close the public hearing on it. Preliminary plat. If there's no other discussion on this, guys, let's accept the motion to approve the preliminary plat as is.
Motion approved.
Okay, Brian, can you get a second on that? Chelsea got you there, Dave. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. All right. Moving along to item number 11. Matt, you're up.
This is the second reading, or will be the second reading for the rezone of the Maple Lakes Estate Edition The preliminary plat was approved at the last city council meeting. The rezone will be rezoning the portion of the preliminary plat from R2 and R6 to R4. Staff's opinion and statement can be found in the memo. And I guess it's worth noting the first reading occurred with no feedback from either direction. So.
Okay. All right, so what we'll do is we'll open up the public hearing on the rezone.
No public hearing for this one, Mr. Mayor. This is just your second reading.
Okay, well, you got it listed down here, so that's how I'm going through the motions. Okay, then I'll
Is
take
there-
that
I
out.
guess- I guess that's the question. If there isn't, I don't, I'm not sure what all the people in the audience are for. Is there anything that's here for comment on this one? Be wanted to hear it as a council member.
They're stuck looking at
What's that?
talking to the mayor.
All right. If nobody's got any comments on it, on the rezone for a second read here. So, okay, close it, whatever. Russell, you got anything on this one at all, or anything bothered you? Seemed like it all went.
Yeah, it's in there.
These are all larger lots.
Mm-hmm.
They're not big lots, but they're all larger lots. This will be a nice one.
Okay. That's what it sounded like. I just wanted to make sure we were all,
Oh, yeah.
all on the same page again.
Like to see, this is, like to see these.
Okay, I'll put a star by this one. With your name by it. How's that?
Gold star.
In essence, it hasn't changed since the preliminary, the first
No.
reading, right? So that's the first thing, because we approved the first plat, and this is the second version of that, so. the
Second reading of
of
You
that,
approved the plat, and there was a first reading for the zone.
Right,
There's a
right.
second reading for the rezone.
Right. So again, this is still just the rezoning step.
Okay.
Yeah, the final plat hasn't come through yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's still in process, right?
The,
Still in review.
the
No,
notice.
We don't have it, we don't have the planning and zoning yet.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on the rezone here, second read? Otherwise, I'm gonna accept a motion to accept the,
So moved.
okay, Dave, can you get a second?
Second.
Chelsea is a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, Matt, you got the next one here.
Right. In front of you is the staff report and the plat itself, and we have bigger copies if you want it for Vistos in Third Industrial Edition. This had appeared in front of council, I think in mid-January. There was some discussion about street improvements. So the council decision on the street improvements is recorded in the description here. There are no changes to this plat related to land use between the preliminary and the final. Lucas can expand on the changes that were made. They were mostly administrative, related to legal description, making sure roads were named and things like that. One thing to note is that in this case, staff is proposing that the developer pay his fee in lieu of land dedication in a different way. We want to, if this is a discussion I think that we should have tonight quickly. Basically, the only thing that would be different is that the developer would pay it in the course over 5 years. This would be put into the developer agreement. The number, the value will be the fair market value at the time of the approval of the final plat, so within a given amount of time from now. This idea stems from the idea that industrial developers often don't have the need, or there's not really a demand for park space in an industrial park.
You mean you don't go walking at noon to the
Right,
park?
exactly.
Come
Yeah,
on.
right between the oil. This is not an industrial park, but either way, what this does is it would allow for there is a need though for industrial parks to have greater ways to access them. So for sidewalks and things like that, especially it can provide an opportunity for low-income residents to get to work in more than one way. So what this program would do basically is it create a public facilities fund. This would then become a grant matching fund for sidewalks and trails and other facilities that are related to increasing access to and from industrial parks and housing. Obviously, it can be used for other things as well. Over time, the staff sees fee in lieu over 5 years as an option that might be suitable for industrial and some commercial developers. Having a direct and transparent method to fund increasing connectivity is another big step towards encouraging Citizen First Development in Horace and implement their comprehensive plan. So staff's recommendations is to improve Vista's third industrial edition final plat with the following conditions. These are conditions that were established in Planning Commission when it was heard last week. The first one is to provide a landscape plan compliant with the 17.8.8 of the revised ordinances of Horace. Coordinate with Cass County on any necessary approach permits or proposed changes to the approved approach permits. Number 3, Southeast Cass Water District approves the development prior to signing of the developer's agreement. The second recommendation from staff would be to pass a resolution to allow the developer to pay his public facilities dedication fee in lieu in 10 installments or one every 6 months over the course of 5 years to be enforced through the developer's agreement.
Okay.
So the first question is that the developer has approved, or has agreed to, the fee in lieu over that payment schedule?
Yeah.
Okay. Second
Lucas,
question.
we need to do a public hearing on this one?
Yep.
Just checking. So, why don't we open that up, then let's do the public hearing on the final plat for the third industrial edition. Anybody got anything they wanna talk about with that one? Okay, going once, going twice. I will close the public hearing on it.
So the only other question I was thinking, isn't Southeast Cass Water already providing water for this?
No, this is
Why
the-
does it
This has to do with a budding
drainage.
drain.
The drainage. Train 27.
So I can comment on that, Mr. Mayor. if you'd
Go.
like. So this one was presented to Southeast Cass at their meeting last Wednesday, and this is what I talked about earlier with that 150-foot setback. So what they want is to have a permanent easement agreement between Southeast Cass and the property owner. Then they would like to record that, and then take that number that they give you when you record it with the county recorder's office, and then put that on the plat.
So
that way it's-
that just needs to be added when it's available, but it's
Correct.
not available right now.
So that was their only recommendation for this final plat.
Okay.
But they like the 150-foot setback, and I think that the city should maintain that consistency and do it with the other developments, just like Cove Creek will have as well, that 150-foot setback.
Okay.
Has the Cass County already been approached with the proposed approaches on that county road? I don't know the answer to that one.
That's not on the outside. When I talk to Cass County, I think no.
There are no improvements to,
I mean, right now, if we approve the final plat and Cass County doesn't approve those approaches, then the final plat is not valid.
There's only one approach.
there's one approach.
I thought there was more than one. I thought there were two.
Just the
No,
one.
just the one.
We're talking, yeah, they've been contacted.
Okay.
They were-
So they know about it. Cass County knows about it. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Question about the diagrams that are in the, if you scroll down, there's two actual maps. One's this way, and then the last one, is that just turn, so I can see the continuation? Okay, got it. I just wanna make sure.
So this
So
is
where
the
are
back.
where is the approach on, what is it?
Oh, here's County Road
Keep
14
going
right here.
down. Next page.
Oh, because it's further over here, basically. Okay, so this is the two.
Yeah, zoom in out.
Then go over that way, go back down.
Oh, it's road.
Right in the middle there?
Oh, good lord. Okay, now you're making my head hurt. This is 70. This is county
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right here.
So that middle one, or
So
that,
this is the approach right here
okay.
that would be connecting.
Yeah, that's this thing.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
So is this the road that if that was connected, we go back to our development things over there?
Straight.
yes.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Makes me concerned because they're usually in a development of this side, especially in industrial, I would think fire would want at least two entrances.
There's
Through the first edition.
There's a frontage road
Yeah, they
all
come
along
through
the
first.
south end, which connects to a frontage road on the west
So
side.
this will continue right here.
Yes, and there's an approach up there.
Yeah, if you scroll up.
If you scroll up, there is an approach on County Road 17.
Oh, so this would be the second entrance, exit into this. Okay.
No, actually, it's further up, isn't it? It's at the very end, at the corner of it.
Yeah, this is the development that's there right now.
Right, but it's at the very top
It's-
of that portion, not
Yeah,
that
up-
part, right there.
No, right
Yep.
here.
No,
Up a little bit.
Well, that's where it is right now.
States.
It's like a,
Right here.
Those
But
dots.
this would be moving, or would that stay?
Stays up there.
It's, yeah,
Nothing
it's-
changes. Yeah.
Okay.
One in, one out. Okay.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
Anything else, guys? Brian, anything else?
The cash in lieu, that's going to the park board, or that's all one?
That would go into that'd be to the city.
So we have to create a new fund for this, the fund that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Correct.
It would create the public facilities fund, so we have the ability to do trails or sidewalks or match grants. The park board does not, or park district does not typically get into trails and paths, but the appeal to the park district is that we can have more connectivity throughout the city and potentially connect some of those locations like parks to neighborhoods and things like that. So there is it's a win-win from a
Yeah,
different
sure.
angle. So,
But
and
they-
that
do
could be
they-
used for other improvements too. If the city wanted to partner with the park district, say we wanted to put money towards a different type of improvement or something at a park, let's say there's something of interest to the city council that they would love to see a certain type of facility, that would be a pot of money that we could put towards that type of facility. So if we wanted to see a beefed up playground, great, we could match some money or put some money towards it and contribute to the park board or park district to do something. So that's the angle. It gives us more flexibility. That's why we were proposing it.
Yeah, have they been discussing this development, or?
I've talked to the developer about it. This idea came out of a conversation with the developer and part of the
You know
idea.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Discussing, I know it's come up in our weekly or our monthly briefings with the park board chair. And as for if they shared it with the entire park board, I can answer that. If they have, I believe they have, because they were very receptive of this idea, like I said, of being able to have some funds to connect parks and trail, do the trails. Because they said what they were informing us is that trails aren't their fault. And they don't really get into that because they would have to own the land and they can't put money towards improvements on land. So that's where it's our advantage.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
It's about creating choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, Lucas?
Just another comment. Matt mentioned that one of the conditions was the improvement district agreement. So as you know, they want to do the improvement district for this development. With that comes that agreement that you had with the developer with the once lots, 70% of the lots are sold or in 5 years' time. So I've already drafted the improvement district agreement with that language in there. So that addresses, that agreement that was set by motion of the city council, I think in February. And then on top of that, we also drafted a waiver of protest for the lot owners that will be purchasing lots in that development. They cannot get a building permit until that waiver of protest is filed with City Hall. Sarah and I are still working on that to determine if that's the best route, because there may be an issue if they never get that waiver of protest form, that they can argue that they never got it, and so they're not subjected to that condition. And so we're just wondering if that's really the best route to take, or if we need to come up with something else for that. But like I said, it is in the improvement district agreement, and then we'll probably have a separate form with the actual property owners.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I would say if we can get it to occur at the close of purchase of the land, that would be great. But I know it's difficult.
But yeah, they'll want to know before they buy the property.
That's just it. So it's gotta be disclosed up front.
Right. Yeah. And the city's not involved with that transaction. That's
Right.
over. Right. Concern.
Okay. Any other comments on this?
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat.
Okay.
With the
With
conditions.
set conditions, right?
With said conditions, right?
Yes. with
Okay.
that condition.
Second. And, okay, Brian was second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Now, do we need to pass a second resolution for the,
Yeah, for
that's a separate action,
13.
right?
Yeah, it's number 13.
13, right?
Oh, sorry.
The improvement district is not there. Yep.
Okay. Jimmy, you got this one, Jim?
I
Who's-
do.
Who's picking it up?
I do, I have this one, so. We have the Visso Third Industrial Edition Special Assessment Improvement Districts. We've discussed this at length in the past about how to proceed with the water and sewer and streets and drainage improvements. It was decided the city would participate with a special improvement district for the water and the sewer, with the streets and the drainage being privately funded at this time. What you have before you is a district boundary map for the area. It appears to be larger than the Visso Edition because of the potential for a regional sewer. This isn't committing to anything, this is just defining an area that could receive potential benefit that would be vetted out at a further time, just making the district tonight. So, we do have both districts on here for a water, sewer, and a street and drainage, just so that it is known from the beginning that ultimate plan in the future is to assess for street improvements, and that will be an assessment project of it, so. That's why there's two projects listed on the top.
Why is that?
Hmm?
Why are there two projects?
One's water and sewer, one's street drainage. To set it up this way from the beginning, so we're going to the district's already been established. There's nothing that scares it.
You're saying 'cause it-
So we're doing them each individually, or can we do them as one, Lucas?
Well,
It
that's
shows
the-
on our agenda that we're gonna break them apart.
I have them broken apart, just might be cleaner that way, I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I think it'd be cleaner with just one.
And one, it works. Attorney says one.
Are you guys fine with there just being one?
Yep.
Yeah, fine with that.
So I motion for a resolution to create the district as documented in the, in our packet here, I guess, provided the report provided by Interstate Engineering.
Okay. Dave makes a
Second.
motion. Ryan does a second. Guys, any other questions on that, or was it? I'll accept. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now that we've established the district, we need to go forward and correct the engineer, prepare the report, so that's the next stage around identifying the improvements and the costs, so.
I move that we direct the engineer to prepare a report for said district.
Okay.
Or storm, sewer, and streets, right? Streets and everything.
We've got water and sanitary, I guess it's not listed.
So you, yeah,
For the two of them.
you're on A2, right? Where we're at? Dave, is that one you're
Well, we
so
said we're
it's-
gonna put it all together.
Okay, so
Yeah,
wrap it
just
all
let it be
together.
all
All right.
together.
Because you are doing streets too, right? You're providing all that.
It's the funding will be privately for
Right.
the interim streets, but yes.
You're preparing the report for
Yes.
all of it, and
Yes.
it'll be funded differently. Okay.
Okay, so you made a motion for the street and drain specials?
Yep, for preparing the engineer report.
Okay, and Chelsea does a second, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Who was the first one?
Carries.
Dave.
Dave.
Okay, so that knocks them-
Okay, Jim, anything else we need to do on that, on
Nope.
13?
That takes care of 13.
So that'll be water and sanitary sewer, street and drainage improvement district 2019-5.
5, okay.
So in that report, though, you will keep your related to streets and sewer separate, your
Mm-hmm.
billing time or whatever, so it can be all locked properly.
Yep.
Cool,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, the next thing we have on the agenda is Storm Sewer and Street Improvement District number 2019-2, roundabout on 76th Avenue. As you saw in the memo, the bids were open for the project on Thursday, March 28th. We received bids from 5 contractors. Northern Improvement, Dakota Underground, All Finished Concrete, KPH, and Strata. You do have a copy of the bid tab there and a summary of the low bid. The project was bid with a base bid, which was the 76th Avenue and the roundabout improvements, and an alternate, which was storm sewer in the Adelman addition. The base bid was for $4,587,594.70. That was lower than the engineer's estimate of $6,005,800.05. The alternate had a bid of $424,878.50, and that exceeded the engineer's estimate of $380,720. So Overall, the project did come in below the engineer's estimate by about roughly $1.3 million. Prices were good. I mean, we had, like I said, 5 contractors, 4 of the 5 were all pretty close, and then we had one that was closer to the engineer's estimate than the others. So, I know we had.
So the Northern Improvement was not drastically lower?
No, it was, if we go to the last page of the estimate, or the bid tab. The next bidder was $5,150,551.93 for the total project, or.
Say that again, 5 million what?
So let's go back to the base bid. So
Yeah.
the low base bid was $4,587,594, and the second bidder was $4,773,868. So they were close.
really good.
They were real close on
Very good.
$4 million.
Very good prices.
I don't know if you want to expand on the Adelman at all, Brent?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the question,
So we've been having meetings with them in the past 2 weeks, starting with the council meeting, was it 2 weeks ago? We did bid the project as an alternate, prepared a memo, sent it to Brent, and he forwarded on to the residents for their yay or nay, and I guess he can summarize it for you.
So like Jim mentioned, we had quite a few. We've had 2 meetings with Alman's neighborhood about their concerns of drainage, streetlights, everything. Streetlights were included as a part of the 76 project, so the base bid. So the streetlights would be just included on that.
Okay.
For drainage, that was the alternate bid, was just drainage improvements. We did not pursue road improvements to 66 at this time because there could be connection with future development. So with that future development, they'll likely need to have a second access point into that development, and that would be the most ideal access point. As for the information, we sent out the bid information, the numbers to the residents, and Jim gave them a general idea of how much a special assessment could be based on acreage, so they would know this would be a cost in addition to the base bid or whatever cost they could or would have tied to the 76 project. Surprisingly, we had a very good response rate from the property owners throughout Adelman's addition. 13 of the 17 lots responded to me by 5 o'clock today, which that's pretty good turnout. This neighborhood has been actively engaged, but they really haven't been able to come to a conclusion of what improvement should be done, and we have 6 that are in favor of doing this improvement and 7 that were against it. And so my recommendation to the council would be not to do the alternate bid, and that if the folks in that neighborhood want to see improvement or changes or a different type of project or whatever they want for drainage improvements, they can petition for that improvement. And it's just
Treat it as a separate project.
yeah, and what we proposed to them was storm sewer drainage with inlets. This was intended really to capitalize on the cost savings, quantities of scale, because a lot larger project, you get materials a lot cheaper. You have the contractor out there. We only disturbed the neighborhood one time. That was the primary goal, and to alleviate some of their drainage concerns. But like I said, it was 6 to 7 where they're at. They're fairly split on that. Every time I get an email, it would be one saying yes, and then I get an email an hour later saying no. So it's just back and forth. But I would recommend that you do not do the alternate because there wasn't enough support.
No, I'd say we accept the low bid and not the all.
On the base bid.
Yeah.
So,
So we need a motion. I motion that we accept Northern Improvement as the low bid for the base bid and deny doing alternate 1.
okay,
Second?
Dave makes a motion. Oh, okay,
Well, I just wanted to talk about,
go ahead.
you know, where the money is coming from, like a little bit of a plan to pay for the project, I guess. Brent's explained it to me, but I think at a meeting we should kind of make sure everybody that wants to hear it, I guess, can understand a little bit of it too.
Okay.
And if Lucas has anything to say about it.
I guess I could start with just saying that the city council, as you guys have the authority to establish these projects, and you just tell your staff, you know, what you want done, how big the project is, what the specifications are. And with the projects that have been approved for this summer, this upcoming season, you're looking at approximately $25 million in your temporary financing bonds for this year. So that's something that you need to consider in improving these projects, not just the improvement districts, but with the developments. That's a lot of money that the city will be indebted for the next 20 years. So that's something to consider, and that's Councilmember Johnson's concern was, you know, these numbers are starting to rise, just to make sure that everyone is on the same page, that that's what those numbers are and that someone's gonna have to pay for it. And we did have a meeting with the school, with Mark Lemmer, and they know that they're the driving factor behind the improvement districts, and they are willing to pay their fair share for the improvement districts. But then, you know, a good chunk of that has to come from the city too.
Mm-hmm.
But in this agreement for this roundabout, we get $1 million from $1 million of this 4.5 will come from county.
Correct.
Yes.
And
Now-
4.5 isn't the full
Well-
cost either.
Well, you have, that 4.5 is the construction costs. And there's the contingency, the engineering, the admin, the legal. So you're going to
Okay.
be in the ballpark.
Closer to 5.8 total cost
Yeah.
with land and administration, bond discount, legal and engineering. So you take off your million for that, it's roughly 4.781, roughly.
Okay.
When this was proposed to council through the preliminary engineering report, the estimate was $5,103,000, so it is underneath that originally proposed number. through
But
the
again,
DVR.
all of our contingencies and your fees and those types of things are percentages based on the base bid, correct?
Ours on this one is an hourly not to exceed. This one is different because the county is doing a lot of the construction engineering themselves. We're assisting them through construct surveying and some other areas where they weren't as comfortable. We're assisting with them. So this is greatly reduced for a $4 million project to have $400,000 worth of. I think that's what our fee was. Yeah. So, and the rest of the other ones of these are estimates for a temporary bond. I don't. So.
Now, how this project is paid for, the 76 in the roundabout, Councilmember Fenlon mentioned there's $1 million for the roundabout. The school is willing to take on their fair share or their share of the project. Special assessments are the preferred avenue because they're able to pay for it with different avenues for funding. The city could take on some costs tied to this project. We're looking into how much cost could be. That could be tied to a lot, just like the school would be doing, basically using their same approach, have a special assessment tied toward the city lot, and then the city could pay for that with our different funding mechanisms also. So general fund, potentially a sales tax, say potentially, possibly even the highway fund. We'd have to, you know, check our avenues of doing it, but we're able to get creative on how we pay for it from these different angles. And we don't want to exhaust all of our funding, like our sales tax, on one project, and we know we have a lot of other ones, but it's something for us to keep in mind. And by doing it with that, putting the money towards a special assessment for the lot, we're able to have some flexibility. So we're able to knock down the cost of the special assessments and what could impact residents significantly. It may be more than what we're thinking right now, but I can't throw an exact dollar amount to you, and that's the nature of special assessments. I can't tell you the exact dollar amount right this minute because the project hasn't been done yet.
Yep.
So it may come in where we don't have hardly any contingencies used, and it comes in even cheaper. So there could be even more savings. Where we exhaust the contingency and we're right on the project budget or something. you never know what you're going to run into for situations. So that is our funding mechanism, is special assessment with city contribution towards lot that the city would own. The special assessment district was set up for the entire city boundaries, but our odds are we'd probably target a lot or two that are owned by the city close to this location.
The largest,
Yeah.
larger percentage.
Yeah, because we could overmatch it. We could put, you know, let's say the lot would average out to a couple $1,000s. We could put 500,000 towards it, or whatever dollar. We could put a dollar amount towards it. We just have to make sure that it's not going to exhaust our budget elsewhere. So,
Plus we do have a few commercial designated
Yes.
around that area.
There's some
That would be
commercial.
an area that we probably tend to try and push a little bit more onto as well.
and there are some
Because
benefits for those commercial properties, commercially zoned properties. There are some significant benefits because it makes this property usable pretty much when the project is done. It's, they can break ground on something pretty quickly.
Any other, Chelsea, anything else you want to talk about on that, or?
Let's do it.
I think the specifics of the funding, I mean, obviously, we're all concerned about that, right? Right. About the specifics of, you know, which lots, how much apply to, you know, the commercial versus the school versus how much do we allocate, so. The
But
specific numbers.
our approach is we're trying to minimize as much as possible, working with with what the county's provided, what we can take on as a city with the commercial plus the school. Can we minimize as much as possible
Yeah.
what would hit any residents in our city?
That's the strategy.
As much as possible.
And that
Yep.
is the goal in mind,
Yep.
is to be conscious of the cost. It is a little, I would say, nerve-wracking or concerning, you know, where the city has never taken on projects of this caliber before. So that's where it's, okay, this is different. And we're going to have those moments where there's different and not used to taking on that burden. Our biggest project I'm aware of is probably the SSL or one of the developments.
Yeah, one of the developments was more, but as
Yeah.
far as the city project itself.
Yeah.
it's-
So I mean, that gives you a comparison. It's a bigger caliber project, and we're going to have bigger ones in the future. You look at what West Fargo is dealing with Cheyenne. That eventually will come to Horace. It's not saying tomorrow, not saying in 5 or 10 years. We don't know
At some
for sure.
point, we're going to be
But we're
involved
going to
in
have to
something
start
like
planning for those in the near future of
But
just
we'll
saying.
also get federal funding at that point. Because
Possibly.
we'll hit hopefully a size that will allow
Yes,
us.
there's no guarantee of the federal funding, but
Then you wait for that, remember?
Correct. I know. It's
Way ahead.
Yeah, we have a plan way ahead.
we're in
But
my
also
formal
getting,
federal funding hat.
getting a bid like this, that within 2 to 3 of
Yeah.
them being within less than 10% or whatever, and the numbers, I mean, this is positive. Plus, there's also other bids that are coming out, from other portions of those developments around that we will have.
Yeah.
You know, this is in people's backyard, Northern Improvement. I mean, they're going to want these types of additional, so they can come in one fall swoop and do everything. So.
And you know, as Jim noted, the bid numbers they gave us were extremely good.
Yes.
We're all very surprised on our numbers we received from majority of the contractors that submitted.
And I think that, you know, we're building this out for the future, which is a little bit difficult because we have to charge people for that. But when, like what Brent just said, we're getting really good numbers, so we are thinking about the long term. It's just, you know, it's a tough choice to make.
Yep.
And something to note too is just a reminder, this is concrete road, not asphalt. Useful life of concrete roads is a lot longer. So that's something to keep in mind too. So we are paying, and talking with Jim and Damon last week, they were seeing asphalt prices were coming in not far off of concrete, sometimes even higher right now because of oil prices. So we are getting very good bid prices.
Okay, so I got Dave making a first, Brian making a second motion on that. Ready to vote? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous, and motion carries. All right, Jim.
So
you
with
got-
that, I leave you with an upgrade. I have to run. So Damon's gonna take over for me.
There you go, Damon. You're the upgrade. I like it.
So, have a good night.
Thanks, Jim. We'll see ya. All right, Mr. Upgrade, what do you got for me on 15?
How are you tonight?
Doing good.
Number 15 is Sanitary Storm Sewer and Street Improvement District 2019-1. That's Lakeview Drive and 79th Avenue. So that one, we would need a resolution approving the plans and specifications for that project. That one is also concrete, Lakeview and 79th. That is on the west side of the school, coming off of County 17, and then on the west side of the school, and then 79th goes right between where the middle school and the high school is, over to 63rd, from Lakeview over to 63rd.
Okay.
I'm trying to find the last page where it says what the estimate for the whole project.
Approving plan specification. Okay.
Okay.
You guys got any questions on this one, or?
No. Well, we approved the plat. Really, right?
That's all. That part's been
That's all
done.
we've done. So basically, we're just getting the engineering cost for this.
Well, we're
Plans.
approving so they can,
Plans and
they can go out and advertise for bids, right?
Right, so I'll make a motion approving the resolution to create the plans and specs for Lakeview Drive.
We got the boss down here, you're not gonna rip into him a little bit for his number?
It'd be approving the plan and specs.
Right, it's
Yep,
approved.
he's
Right.
approving the plans.
Is that what I said?
He said creating.
Agreed.
Oh, okay.
Approving the plans
Approving.
and specs.
You meant approving.
You got you covered, Brian.
Okay, so Brian makes a motion to
Second.
approve. Chelsea does a second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We've got the other one here, the resolution directing the auditor to advertise for bids. Just the extension here to get it out, right?
Yep, what we'd be looking at is advertising in the paper on April 8th, next Monday.
Okay.
And then probably opening bids May 2nd. That's a Thursday.
Okay.
So we could get bid tabs and everything done before your next council meetings.
And right now, this won't affect the construction for the school because they're having a temporary access to the school construction site anyway. So this is just to get this done this construction season, so that it would be, after this season, that would be their construction path.
Correct. This one includes all the water and sanitary sewer around that area, the water lines going from the new water tower and to the school, and then the sanitary sewer to the school, storm sewer, draining that whole area and everything also. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise, I want to entertain a motion to direct the auditor to advertise for bids.
So moved. Then I'll take a second.
Okay. Chelsea first, Dave did a second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, Damon, we'll move on to 16 here.
Okay, 16 is Storm Sewer and Street Improvement District 2019-3. That is 63rd Street from 76 down to 81st Street. That would be on the east side of the school. So that would also affect the Cub Creek area there too. So, first item would be engineering services agreement. This one is designed already. It's part of the Lakeview 76 and everything else because it all had to be designed at once to get water and sewer and storm sewer and everything all taken care of at the same time. So it would all be bid at the same time as, it's all part of the same plans and specifications as the Lakeview and 79. So just a different improvement district number, so you keep the cost separate.
This is all standard boilerplate.
Correct.
Engineering service agreement, so.
Correct.
One thing I do want to expand on this is we are originally planning on doing 63rd from 79th going north to 76. This does account for it going farther south.
All the way down to 81st now.
Yeah,
correct?
down to 81st.
Yes.
So that is a different approach than what we were originally planning. The reason for that is Cub Creek, so they have an easier access to get into the development in and out. It makes sense. We are going to be doing either this year or next year, but it just makes it to where 63rd is just getting done this year instead of next. So that is a slight change or deviation from what our original plan was of how we phase projects. We're going to do the southern half of 63rd and 81st next year. That was what our plan was. So, yeah.
We'll still have to do the southern half of 63rd.
No, this will take it all the way down to 81st.
This
This will take it to
81st.
81st. 81st would run on the south side of the school property.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's what I was explaining.
That is not part of this
Okay.
project. That will be built in the future.
You're saying down to Wall Avenue.
No, that's
Okay, yeah, that's down the future. This is to go to where 81st roughly, or go a little farther south than what we were originally planning.
Okay.
So this is just approving the engineering service agreement to direct
Correct.
you to proceed with the engineering.
The design, the
Design.
report and everything. Yep.
So moved.
Okay, Brian makes a motion. Is a second?
Second.
Okay, Chelsea does a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We'll go on to the resolution approving plans and specs.
Man, you are fast.
Yep. Done quick. Jimmy said
Right
it was an
along.
upgrade.
Great. Wow. Blinked an eye and those are done. Move to approve the plans and specifications for District 2019-3.
Okay, Dave made a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, Brian does a second.
Again, I think we just want to reiterate, the reason these are all done is what Damon said earlier, is they had to do kind of everything at once to make sure that this, we're not just rubber stamping things, this is all planned this way, but just because they're two separate districts.
Correct.
Yes.
So that's noted.
I was catching on what you. This is not normal, it's to accelerate that.
Yep.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then,
And advertising for bids, like, yeah, well, we gotta do it, so.
Yep. And it will
Motion
be,
to approve the auditor
okay.
to advertise for bids.
Brian makes,
Second.
Dave does a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So
All
will
right.
this end up being one bid?
Yes.
These two together will be one bid and then
Oh,
the bid part.
yep.
Okay.
It'll all be bid as one
Even though
project.
As
but
one
we'll have-
project with
They'll be
different,
spread out as two separate projects, but they'll
Correct.
be bid as one.
one
To
time.
They'll
hopefully
be bid in
save
one
some
package.
mobilization costs and everything else.
Our goal is to consolidate them into one, hopefully it'll entice contractors to shoot us a good price, and also minimize the likeliness of having multiple contractors out there in each other's way. So that's why we did this all as one, we're going to bid this one all as one. In 76, we figured the contractors would be out of each other's way a little bit by doing this approach.
All right. Okay. Lucas, number 17 here.
Mr. Mayor, if it's okay with you and the council, could we jump back to the 2019 Flood Protection Operations Mutual Aid Agreement? We
Sure.
have on hand Chris Brungart, the Public Works Director for the City of West Fargo, the man behind the agreement. Here
Welcome,
to
Chris.
discuss.
I don't know if I quite go that far, but
Sure.
but I apologize for being late. For some reason, I had in my mind your meeting started at 7, so I do apologize.
They used to.
They used to.
They used to. Okay.
You're not.
So, as I said, I'm the Public Works Director for the City of West Fargo, and Superintendent of the Horace and West Fargo diversions. And I think you already reviewed part of this, and you had some questions about some obligation for money, dollar figures. And I would probably just recommend that you take a look at what you feel comfortable as a single occurrence and aggregate occurrence. In West Fargo, we currently have, we started our emergency operations center, so we have our entire instant finance system in place. So we have a finance section and all of those. So a lot of times if we have something done, we run it through our finance director to our city administrator, and Mayor Dardis is our commission liaison on that. But otherwise than that, I have authority to spend $25,000, and our city administrator has up to $100,000. So I'm unsure exactly what depth there is in this. I can tell you, a lot of the flood predictions area have dropped. And I noticed that the Horace diversion out here, the inlet structure just started operating here about an hour ago. So we're going upwards in their water. And we dug out some debris out in the Cheyenne River, about 32nd Avenue, and we have about 3 feet of ice. So I have a lot of concerns about, the channels can be running full. We have between 2,000 and 2,100 CFS going through the river channel. Everything else gets diverted around town. But if we start getting those ice jams, you can really get that to jump pretty quickly. So we have to really be careful if there are any low spots in the existing berms. If any of the berms along the riverbanks are eroding because of the high flows and just fall in. So until the ice is out, I think that's really the real crucial and critical time to be taking a close look at the rivers. So I guess I'm available for any questions you have. And
Yeah, I think we're kind of on the same page as you. We know that probably by the end of this week, there's going to be a lot more water coming into the system because the temperatures are going to be going up. So I think it's by Thursday night we're not going to probably see freeze in the it'll stay liquid throughout the night. So that's what I anticipate us having a little bit more action to pay attention here over the weekend. So
they're starting to release a little bit more out of Bald Hill Dam, and if you go to the hydraulic charts that they have on water.weather.com, you can start seeing that water come. First Valley City, then it's Lisbon, then Kindred, and we won't be getting those levels that they get at Lisbon, but I anticipate it's still going to be breaking out of the channel, and we'll get some overland flooding. How much I'm unsure, but it usually stays high for a fairly long period of time.
Right, and that's kind of what we're watching or ramping up for too, is the anticipation that we're going to have some ice dams that are going to be created, and that's going to create the overland, probably accelerate some overland flooding until.
So, and I think Southeast Cass is a good steward of things, and we all want to be good partners around we go through this area. And I know in my department I have close to 70 people I can draw on very quickly. So we just want to make sure that we're all able to team up and do what needs to get done. We're all going to be doing a lot of work with City of Fargo, looking around the Osgood area for them and things like that. So unless there's something that critical happens and Brent gives us a call, we're not going to be dispatching anyone down here. But I know 1 year, about in 2009, we did do some sandbagging down in 64th Avenue as the river did break out. So I guess about a row or two of sandbags all took.
Well, let's hope the next time we meet it could be in a bar, but I'm going to assume we're probably going to have some conversations there over the weekend.
So.
Just because like I said, I anticipate if there's something's going to happen, it'll probably be next weekend. So
it's usually when it's dark and rainy.
Yep,
so.
Exactly. So, but unless you guys have any other questions, I appreciate you stopping out here. Like I said,
Thank you.
We'll be in contact. I know that. So
sounds great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Then I would say we start thinking about maybe in the range of $10,000 for a single incident.
I think that's fair.
Yep. What we were originally talking about was 10,000 for a single, and I think we threw up 50 as the aggregate.
Yeah.
If it's something that we need to convene for, we can always convene for a special meeting. If we're in a situation where we're going to be over those costs, I'm sure Chris and I and Corey are going to be talking quite a bit. So,
that's a pretty hefty price tag if we start getting over 50,000.
Yeah.
Right, so it makes sense for us to reconvene if needed.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would guess most of the time it might be a temporary berm or something like that. Right. Really those be at large costs. Right. So.
Yep.
Sure.
Okay, then I make a motion that we accept this joint powers agreement by stating that our single occurrence value for Horace City Council would be $10,000 and our aggregate would be $50,000.
Okay. Dave makes a motion.
Second.
There's a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Chris. All right. Back to 17.
Mr. Mayor, number 17 is rezone number 2 for the West Fargo School Edition. This is just that little lot that the city will be taking over as a retention fund, regional retention fund. It hasn't been done yet, so we still need to go through that. There's a public hearing on it tonight, a rezone from, I believe, ag to public facilities.
Yep. Okay. I'll open up the public hearing now if anybody wants to talk about the rezone of the school addition there from ag to public. Going once, going twice. Okay, I will close the public hearing. Do you guys got any questions on this? I mean, this is pretty much.
Nope, needs to be done.
Yeah.
So,
Pretty much
make a
more
motion to
about-
approve the rezone for the lot to be public facilities, from ag to public facilities.
Okay, Brian makes a motion. Did a second? Chelsea, second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We'll just have your second reading at the next meeting, and that'll be done.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Matt, food truck ordinance.
This is the second reading for the food truck ordinance. The last reading was the last council meeting 2 weeks ago. I guess in brief, to refresh everybody's memory, this ordinance serves two purposes. One of them being that it's an easy way to begin diversifying our retail base in town. Second one being that there's going to be a lot of construction this summer, and one big project is going to cut the city off down the middle. This allows for opportunity for food retail on other parts of the city as well. One of the requests that came through last week was to talk to the health district to make sure the health district was aware, and they are. They don't. The only thing that they really care about is they need to be able to get in and inspect the vehicles, and using the existing code in North Dakota that's as the model. We allow for that here, so there are no concerns from Cass County Health.
So there were no changes from the last reading?
No.
On the food truck ordinance? Okay. Because I didn't see anything that was different, so that's why I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no changes.
Maybe I missed something. So.
Was there a fee?
The fee would be set by you.
That would we haven't set the resolution fees amounts yet at this point.
No.
This is basically saying, here's the ordinance and the permit fees would be set by resolution, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so there's one fee for the application and another fee for the actual license. That way, if it does get denied, the city can still hold on to that application fee, because it costs you money to have to review the application and put time in for staff and for legal to do that.
So once this is approved, then you would probably then build that cost structure for those.
Right, and the approval of this would then allow me to go build out the application structure.
Yep.
Move we approve the food truck ordinance as read.
Okay. Dave makes a motion. Is a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, Brent, let's talk about 19.
So we should get this posted. This will be posted now in our ordinance, or can we post this?
It gets published in the newspaper because there's a fine tied to it. So our office will handle that, and then yes, you can put it on your website. But maybe before you do that, you try to get your application.
Yeah, this doesn't happen tomorrow.
Right.
So on bean days, we had a couple food trucks. They're just there for the day.
This allows for that.
It would have a permit structure.
They still have
it's
a
up to-
permit.
It's up to the city to decide on what permit fees are tied to it, and if the city wants to waive those fees, it's up to the city council. So there's still ways to make things happen. And the intent isn't to charge a lot on the fee or anything. The intent is to know, yes, they're going to, are they allowed to be here or not? We don't want them setting up right in front of a business that serves food.
Yeah.
And that business is not real thrilled about it or something. We have to have some conditions to where they're not putting it in the front door.
We want to promote it where it'll be most successful.
Yeah.
So.
And we know that this construction season is going to be difficult for the needs of the community.
Right.
So it makes it a little to where it doesn't go out of control, hopefully. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. We'll move on then.
The next item is a proposal from AE2S. We have a fairly good relationship with AE2S on different areas. The one in particular is working with them on financial planning assistance. We've been working with them on a financial planning model, helping with restructuring our budgets. We're finalizing details of looking at developments to where this model will be able to tell us how much a development could bring in, like property tax revenues with different assumptions. So we could be able to have more information to the council when it comes time to decision making on developments. So we can have understanding of, do we offer a tax incentive of some sort and what ramifications it can have on the city. So we're working on that right now. However, with our changes in staffing, the auditor position being vacant now, and trying to clean up our finances from the angle of the audit, and we're going through the middle of transition and going live with Black Mountain accounting software right now. Having somebody with that expertise, financial planner, audit background would be very helpful. This is a Band-Aid until we could hire a finance director, but it help us get through and also separate duties from staff, so we're not having the same person do accounts payable and accounts receivable, which was one of the findings on the audit. So we want to minimize any time that we have the overlap of that, and separate duties too.
But this is not to take action on any of the audit items. This is to actually do the financial work.
They could help us clean up some of those areas.
Okay. But it doesn't.
There's twofold, and we left it general. One is to help us with the general auditor duties, staffing wise, separate duties, things like that. The other benefit of this is by how this agreement is set up is it would allow on-call financial modeling assistance, so we can have A2S give us financial planning advice, so they can break out saying, okay, you know, if you do these special assessments, here's what it's going to cost. Can we handle this type of load in different financial capacities? How do our utility rates impact us? There's a wide variety of areas that we could use, and it could be, reached upon or worked upon. But it just gives us that ability to use them if those needs arise. Because right now we can't go to any individual and say, what's too much on a special assessment for the city, or the capacity, or are there concerns? We go through bond counsel some on that, but having an accountant that knows our finances and A2S is familiar with our financial situations, like our audit, they've worked with us already on some of these areas. That's what it is. Just to continue what we're doing and be able to separate duties is the biggest though. So, and this is, in the agreement, it says not to exceed 25,000, or estimated fee is 25,000. This number, if it was to get close to that 25, I'd be coming back to council.
That's what I'm wondering. Do we start with this agreement to not to exceed 25,000?
I think we start with this, and then once we start getting to that 25, is come back to council. If we were to bring a firm like A2S in to clean up finances, the cost would be significant. This is low compared to what it would cost to have them come in and clean up our audit, clean up all of our different areas.
The variable here is how long we go without having a full-time financial director. That's the wild card here.
And that's something I'll get into in the update, but we are trying to move forward fairly quickly on that. I'm hoping to be able to bring an agreement to council at the next council meeting, or recommended proposal. I'm starting to seek out proposals on that right now. So that would be the most beneficial or cost-effective means of cleaning up all the finance there, is we fill the finance director position and they're able to tackle it. But we're going to have something on hand to help us get through it, and also they can help explain where we're at too with others.
So the proposal for funding this would essentially be general fund?
Yep.
Expense item?
It would be just general fund professional services.
Okay.
Any other questions, guys? Otherwise, I want to entertain a motion to
Move that
accept.
we accept this agreement.
Okay, Dave makes a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, Chelsea is a second. I'll roll call this one. Dave? Yes. Chelsea?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, so number 20 here, appointment of city auditor. I think we're gonna say it interim city auditor.
Yep.
And then I think what I'm gonna propose is that Brent picks that up for the short term. That's why it's gonna be an interim deal until we can move that along. Get, so, just need somebody to sign the auditor's slot here for a little while while we transition here, so. I mean, anybody got any questions on that? Kinda.
So the mayor makes the appointment and then the city council confirms the appointment. So for this one, you're just appointing an interim city auditor.
Interim city auditor, and I'll be Brenton, so. Okay?
So you need us to do a motion to
Yeah.
approve
The
that?
motion confirming that.
So I motion that we confirm Brenton as a interim city auditor.
Okay, Dave makes a motion, Brian second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. All right, Brent, you're up.
Okay. I mentioned a little bit about the finance director position. We're going to be seeking proposals. I've talked to 2 different recruiting firms today about assistance recruiting wise for the finance director position. I'm going to reach out to a third one likely tomorrow and have proposals due middle of next week. That way I could have that information in time to touch base with Councilmember Fenelon and Mayor Peterson about that, since it's under their portfolio. My goal is to have a recommended proposal at the next council meeting so we can move forward with getting recruitment wise. What we found is these positions, department head or higher, using a recruiter has helped significantly. And trying to find one that can specialize in this area or really help us get the word out and try to find the right person. They help screen the applicants and everything. They will go out, hit people up on social media or LinkedIn. There's a lot of different avenues they take. And this is probably going to take some beating the drum to get a good candidate or get some good candidates. I think we could do it, but we're going to have to look into those options. So we're going to have proposals and bring that back to council next meeting.
So do we have to approve the job description or position description that will come back?
Previous
or do they have
council,
one already?
previous council meeting, the council decided they did not want to take action on them.
Okay.
So, they did not want to approve job descriptions. They felt that it was best handled between Councilmember Fenelon and the mayor and I.
Okay.
So, we have
But
had.
we need to create, or one needs
We
to be
have one
created.
drafted.
Oh, you have one drafted.
That was one of those that we had drafted with Jenna Wilhelm. I'm meeting with Jenna tomorrow and just, I'll confirm
So
the
in
job
essence, the
description.
position's
We'll take
gonna get
one more
posted
review.
very quickly here.
Once we go through the proposals for recruitment, then we would have that. So I'm guessing that we would be in a position probably in 2.5 weeks roughly to be posted, but that gives us time to get all of our base work laid and get everything together and review proposals. But we do want to get this filled with the right candidate and hopefully fairly aggressive.
Yep.
The one update there, also, if you have not seen, we do have sand outside the shop. That was delivered today. If anybody, we've had a few calls here or there about sandbags. If anybody's looking for sandbags, we'll post something on Facebook and on the website. But we have sandbags available. That'll help for residents. Some residents may want them. I'll probably be asking our public works crew to get some prepped. That way we just have some on hand for folks already available. But we do have some sand available and we should be able to get some bags filled off of that. Hopefully we don't need them, but I'd rather have some sand and have that peace of mind for the community than not have it and then be scrambling trying to get something together. So we do have that right now. The last item I had, or one of the other items I have is the Partners in Marketing Grant. I have just briefly reviewed an email that I got actually right just before this council meeting. Apparently the Partners in Marketing Grant funding was not renewed during the legislative session. So we have until June 30th to expend the funds that we have down on that. We are working with A2S on that project, and we've had originally a plan to spread it out throughout the year. We're probably going to get a little more aggressive on the branding and on the advertising the city, things like that. Not to where we can't do our work. It would just be task the consultant to take advantage of these funds that we have for the community. Because we do have to have our billing and reimbursement requests into the state by June 30th. So just giving you a heads up that we'll be stepping foot on the gas a little bit more. I do have one item Lucas reminded me of. With Maple Lakes moving forward, there was an agreement there was a $40,000 park or dollars for parks. Basically what we're asking is, would you like the city to pay that $40,000, and then when we get the check for $40,000 from the developer for Maple Lakes, we pay Master Construction back their $40,000, so we get that reimbursement. It sounds like we're there, we're able to do it. Or do you want to ask the park board to pay that back, and then we
Go ahead, Lucas.
So if you'll remember, the plat for Libby's Acres was rescinded. So Fred Schlanger was the original partner with it. He paid the 40 grand, got nothing from it. So it's in the best interest of the city to just pay him back that $40,000. I think it's the easiest if the city just does
That's
it.
the cleanest way.
And then, yes, and then just takes the new payment in lieu of for Maple Lake Estates in the amount of $40,000.
From the new developer.
Correct.
I mean, I think that's probably the cleanest way to get this
then
done.
And the reason I bring it up again is because I got a phone call from their attorney last week.
Yep. So if we get action from council, a motion on that one, then we could move forward on that. So when we do have that request,
So are we stating that we're waiting till we receive the $40,000?
We should.
Or are you
I would
asking us to
recommend
pay the $40,000 now, and then we will get the
Pay it
$40,000
now.
from the developer?
yeah,
Yeah.
the developer won't be able to do it. They won't be able to do a lot until they have that park dedication paid. So,
Right, and we won't, because
Yeah.
until the developer agreement is all signed and everything like that, they wouldn't be do that
Time
40,
when
right?
everything starts.
Yeah.
It's been like over a year since Libby's Acres was rescinded.
All right, I move that we provide the previous developer the $40,000 check out of general fund. That should not be an issue, right, Brent? We have that.
it should not be. We
And then
typically
we
don't
will-
like to do that, but it
I know,
shouldn't
and then we
The
will,
question is, we took the money
Yep.
already, right? So where
correct,
that
we've
money-
already taken the money and given it to the park board, so now we
Yeah.
get it back by the current developer payments.
And don't give it to the park board.
Correct, we will not be giving it to the
No, we got
park
that figured out.
Correct.
You want to hold on to that?
Correct. I'll second that motion.
Okay, Brian is a second on the motion. Roll call this one too. Dave?
Yes.
Chelsea?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Okay, unanimous. Okay. Anything else?
Nope, that's what I have.
Okay, it's portfolio reports, mine. Diversion update, still having conversations. Hopefully we'll have a few more this week. Maybe next time we meet, we'll have something more to report. Right now, I don't have much. The other question I had, Brent, did you, remember we talked about this, about State Water Commission permit for temporary berms, trying to get we talked about that at more engineering, about the
We have
temporary-
not been able to reach out.
Is that something we should probably get stepped on?
I think just a phone call with the state for that one.
Okay.
Just let them know that the city might have to construct temporary levees and ask if you need to get a permit. I was told that permit's only 2 pages, the one that Fargo gets.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and they said just give them a phone call, let them know.
Okay. All I'm thinking is this is a CYA move on our part, so in case
well,
we
I was
have
surprised
breakout.
to hear that it was required.
Yeah, well, who would have known that? I was surprised too. Thanks for bringing it up last week. Otherwise I wouldn't have known that either.
One thing I would expand on the area that we were looking at temporary berm. It sounds like there were already improvements made back in, I believe, 2011 to resolve that issue. So a temporary berm is likely not needed. That's what I've been told by our staff.
At that location.
at that location, which would
Right.
be over by Country Acres.
Right, that's
That was the temporary berm location. So,
It would only be as if we have to do something else up
Yeah.
on 76 there for
Nice.
Yeah.
They'll
temporary.
say, go do the work to get
yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, let's
We'll-
get that phone
We'll
call.
coordinate
Yeah.
with their engineer on that one and get that resolved.
Okay, that was all I had. John's not here. Dave, got anything?
No.
Chelsea?
I guess I could speak a little bit about the events. I've been working with Lacey. She's been doing an awesome job starting on the website and getting that in order, and she took over the Bean Days website. And we have the garage sale weekend, May 4th, and she was going to talk to Brent about some signage for that.
Yep.
And we're moving full speed ahead on Bean Days.
Perfect.
And we got a lot of stuff going for that. We're just kind of waiting to hear if Kelly's going to be a part of it or not.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, Brian, got anything?
The only question I had was, we are on track for Brenton May 1st to put the meter rates in effect.
May 1st, yes.
Okay, so for April, the old rates are still in effect.
No.
Has the communication gone out now to make sure that everyone understands that the new rates will go into effect May 1st?
So the new rates that are effect May 1st are the utility, water, and sewer.
Essentially the rates that were approved
Yeah.
back in October.
Yeah, what that is correcting the base fee.
Right.
So we are going to be sending out 2 different letters. One to customers of water and sewer, or water and or sewer and garbage, so that they get everything from us, or those different ones. They'll get one letter explaining what's going on. If you're a customer of just trash and recycle, say the Vector and Forestry, you'll have a different letter. It'll have the same information that the first letter had with just the water and all everything, just minus water, sewer, because it's not applicable to them. So we're going to send out 2 different letters to each of the different type of customer. That is going to go out. The forestry, vector, and trash was applied in the bills that are going out.
Oh, so that did take effect before.
Those
April.
did take effect, but the water and sewer are separate.
Right,
Those are being applied. So the bills that are due in May will have
The correct rates.
the correct rates, yes. But like I said, vector, forestry,
Took effect
and the
May
trash
1st.
took effect in this bill that went out.
Okay.
That was a little change, a couple $1 or $1 for each month for vector and forestry, and then the trash went up a couple dollars from what it was before.
Yeah, just $2, yeah.
So, yeah, if you're in the area that gets billed quarterly for trash, forestry and vector, your bill went up to, I think it's right around $70. It was $70.50 for the trash, vector, and forestry for 3 months.
Okay.
So that's up about $10, $12, right in that range.
Right, that's all I have.
Okay, so that concludes that part of it. So we're gonna go into executive session here, and I got a preamble I'm gonna read. Motion to close meeting and enter into an executive session under North Dakota Century Code Section 44-04-19.2 for a confidential and privileged attorney-client consultation permitted pursuant to North Dakota Century Code Section 44-04-19.12 to receive advice from legal counsel on the city's legal risks, strengths, and weaknesses related to support for the Fargo-Moorhead Area Diversion Project Plan B, and the potential ramifications of legal recourse through civil litigation and adversarial administrative proceedings, and to discuss attorney work product pursuant to 44-04-19.19 related to the diversion project. And that includes Brenton and Jared. Otherwise, I don't have to have everybody else leave the room.
Do we adjourn this meeting and?
I believe we close this meeting.
Close this, have your meeting,
Okay.
record it, make sure you say yourself.
Okay, so that's what I will do.
Motion, I so moved the motion.
Okay,
Second.
In a second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
gotta wait for, now you gotta stop the